Hello, my friends. Today we are going to flatten an array with recursion. So kind of building on yesterday of working with recursion to solve FizzBuzz, we're going to apply the same concept to flatten a nested array. So here I have some data, and you'll see I've got it. So it's an array, and then each index could be an array, and then that array could have more arrays, and so forth. And then I've just got this random one here that's not an array at all. It's just a top level value number in this top level array. So I want to ultimately run console log flatten data and get all the values in just one level array, one flattened array. Wow. All right. So how would we do this? There's you don't have to use recursion for this necessarily, but that's how we're going to solve it. So the idea being that I want to receive an array originally and step through each index of the array, and if I find an array, then I want to step through those indexes and so forth, and each time building up a result array that's just flat. So let's start with an empty array here. All right, so that's good. Like, we know we're going to want to return that because we're going to ultimately return an array. All right, and it's the stuff here in the middle that is interesting. So we know we want a loop. We could do r dot for each here. We could do I guess we could maybe do for of or for in. We're going to do a regular old for loop here. I've been in the habit lately of just writing for loops because I've been fully focused on performance over the past couple of months at work, and so it's just ingrained in me now to just write for loops because they will outperform for each. It generally doesn't matter though, unless you're working with a lot of data. But either way, it's just something that I just went ahead and ingrained in myself over the past couple months. So it's just what I'm doing. For let I equals 0. Wow, there's an equals in here. Still getting used to this keyboard, man. All right, I is less than r dot length. All right, and we'll increment I on each pass. My gosh. All right. Now, here's what we want to do. We're going to start by receiving this array, right? And we first off need to know is on each pass, as we iterate through this array, we need to know, like, is the current value we're on, is the current index of this array an array itself, right? So let's start off with trusty old if statement here. Go ahead and set up an else. Wow, come on. All right, and we'll do so if array dot is array r I, right? Because that's the current index that we're on of the array we received into flatten. And if you haven't seen this before, this is something from, I guess, ES5 that solves the issue of determining whether something is actually an array or not. But we could use other forms if we needed to, but we're writing modern JavaScript here, and we're just going to use array.isArray. And so if we want to do something there, and then else we want to, if we encounter it and we know that the index is not an array, then we've hit an actual value, like something that should be in the final output. So we're just going to push it in, right? So flatten.push ri, like, easy enough. Now this is where the recursion starts to happen, because what we want is, if the current index itself of whatever array we've received into flatten is an array, then we actually want to concatenate or merge the whatever we have here, or whatever is built up here over each pass, with the items flattened from the array of this index is. Wow, that is a mouthful. Let's just write it. Maybe it'll make sense. Okay, so we're going to say flattened equals flattened dot concat. If you aren't familiar with concat, it merges two arrays. So it's going to take this array and then in number of values that you pass into concat, and it's going to merge the two and return a new array. We're reassigning it here and so that's why we have let here. We're just going to reassign flatten to flatten.concat, and then we're going to pass it the values of flatten are I. All right, now let's talk through this. So first pass of, like when I first call flatten with data, right, we've got an array. All right, then we hit this for loop. All right, now the first pass of this for loop is going to check to see if data 0, so 1, 2, and 3 is an array. It is, right? So then we're going to say flattened equals flatten.concat. So flatten.concat at the moment, or flattened at the moment, is an empty array at this first pass, right? So it's just an empty array merged with this result. And this result is going to call flatten itself, which there's the recursion happening. And we're going to call it with 1, 2, and 3, right? So this is going to receive 1, 2, and 3. Keep in mind that we on the call stack, we still have the original flatten call, and we're still just in the first iteration of this for loop. So we're on 1, 2, and 3, right? So we just called this with an array of 1, 2, and 3. So this receives 1, 2, and 3, an array of 1, 2, and 3, and then it itself iterates through that, and so you get array.isArray ri, which is just going to be 1. And that is not an array, and so we just push, and then you get 2, and that's not an array, so we just push, and then you get 3, and that's not an array, so we just push, and that means now flattened is an array of just 1, 2, and 3, and now that's going to return, and that's going to return here, and then this is going to be .concat with an array of 1, 2, and 3. All right. Then on the next pass, it's going to get a little different, right? Because you're going to get 4, 5, and 6. We're going to call this, but then when it encounters 5 and 6, it says, oh, that is an array. So it's going to call flatten again, right? And ultimately, you're still calling flatten with an array, and then flatten is as many arrays as it sees. It's going to continue calling flatten, building a flattened array of just that piece, and then returning that up. To where that pops off the call stack, and the flatten underneath it gets that flattened value and concats it. So ultimately, this kind of like unrolls the array. I think that will make sense. Hopefully, it makes sense. But if something doesn't make sense, let me know. But yeah, ultimately, we're just calling every time we see an array, we're calling flatten again. And flatten just takes an array, and every time it sees an array, it calls flattened again. And ultimately, we're just returning all the way up until we get back to the top level loop that we've got going on, and everything has been flattened, right? So let's run this. All right, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we wanted to, I mean, that's it pretty much, but if we wanted to maybe, I don't know if it's cleaning up or not, but I'm a big fan of ternaries. You may hate them, and that's totally cool. You do you. But like I could do something like array.isArray ri, right? That's our condition here. And then we could have a question mark for a ternary, and if it's true, do that. And then a colon, and if it's false, do that. And to me, that reads better. I prefer that, but a lot of people hate ternary, so do whatever you want. But this is also valid, and oh no, it's not, is it? What did I do? Oh no. Array is array flattened equals legal return statement. I must have forgotten some colon here or parentheses or something. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think I've just got an extra one in there. Yeah, that's what it is. Live coding, man. All right, there we go. So yeah, if you have any questions about this, let me know. You can ask in the comments below, and I can do another video if it will help it make sense. But that is how to flatten an array with Recursion.